1985, I founded and became the first artistic director of the Shakespeare on the Saskatchewan Festival in Saskatoon. I was joined in that venture by many first company members, and they made a huge contribution to the foundation of what is now the 40th anniversary of that esteemed festival. I'm very proud to be a part of it. To have a legacy of this significance is amazing, and I thank everyone who's been involved over the years, and the current administration artistically and administratively. Wonderful congratulations to everyone who's involved, and I wish you a great summer. Apparently, they're going to put on their version of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and that is the play that we began the festival with. And it's the one from an earlier episode, you'll remember. We sat on a golf course, which we made inside the tent. From the outside, from the side view, you'll see it looks kind of like the Saddle Dome Arena in Calgary. It's got a saddle shape. I think they call it a parabolic. Anyway, it goes like that. And we could get up on top of that tent by running at it and kind of bouncing our way up to the top. It acted like a bit of a trampoline. It was actually a fun, enjoyable experience to do that. Well, the reason for getting up there was because I staged the final scene of the play, which is the character of Puck, played by the wonderful Susan Kyle, giving the final speech, which is about dreams and shadows. And so what we did was I had shut the lights off inside the tent during that scene, and Susan lay spread eagled on top of the tent, looking down into it, and 4 actors were lighting her with flashlights. So you got this amazing silhouette of her up on top of the tent, and it was very eerie and perfectly suited to the final speech of the play. So I was, on this given day, about 3 days before we opened, I was standing back from the tent going, I'll try this one more time. I want to get up on the tent myself to feel what it's like when we're staging the scene. And so all I had to do was run at the tent at some speed and then launch myself, and I would hit the wall of the tent about 3 feet, 4 feet up, and then springboard my way to the top. Very simple, except for one fact. They are considered a rodent, and they come by the thousands in their number when they're populating. Funny thing is that one summer we'll see thousands of prairie dogs, or gophers, as they're called, and other summers we won't see many. Well, in 1985, they were out in force. And so important to know that Home on the Range, where the deer and the antelope play, there's some other critters that play on the range, and they are prairie dogs, the lovable prairie dog. So I'm running toward the tent, and I feel great. It's a beautiful sunny day, and cliffhanger, dun, da, da. Okay, now I'm going to give you a few seconds to see if you can figure out what happened next, and I'll be back to give you the actual story. And by the way, just before we proceed, I want to ask you again, if you would, please subscribe to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button. It's free to do, and give it a like as well. And ultimately, we'll get more and more subscribers. And I hope that we'll surpass a number of at least 100, up to 500. It's my goal. I'd like to know that many folks are watching. So don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so here's what happened. I'm running full blast to the tent, and I make my liftoff, but I don't, because our friend, the prairie dog, had decided to dig a hole right at the apex of the tent where I would launch myself. And you guessed it, my foot, I think it was my right foot, yes it was, because I can still feel it a bit, nailed that hole like nobody's business. And the scream that I let out carried across the river, I think. It was so loud. Yeah, you guessed it. I really hurt my foot, my lower leg. And I kind of bounced off the tent, screaming all the while. Well, the cast and crew came running out from the trailer where was our dressing room, and the tent, found me lying there writhing in pain. And they were great. And to cut a long story short, I ended up at the University of Saskatchewan, which is just across the river from the tent site, and was taken care of by the Olympic team physiotherapy unit and training unit. I'm not sure, I can't remember why they were in Saskatoon at that moment, but it was in some preparation for events that would lead up to the Olympics. So I was very lucky, and I was taken care of tremendously. And I ultimately was assigned one physiotherapist, and she was tremendous and put me through all of these exercises. Well, what they did was they put me in these ice baths, and then boiling hot water baths, and they put a sock that led up to my knee that inflated and reduced the swelling. They had all sorts of wonderful techniques, and they taped the ankle in certain ways, and they said, yes, you have torn some ligaments. If you stay off your feet for the next, whatever it was, month or something, should be recovering well. And that's when I broke the news to them that I cannot stay off my feet because I'm playing the role of Lysander, and we open in 3 days, and I have no one to substitute for me. We didn't have the luxury of understudies. And they said, well, highly unlikely that you'll be doing the opening show. And I said, listen, just bandage me up. You know, in those days, I had played a lot of hockey, and I had this kind of willpower. I still have it, but I've learned some things that you can't always solve these things with willpower. So I thought, listen, I will just grit my teeth and get through this, just to stabilize the ankle. You know, do something. Don't put a cast on it, please, but tape it like crazy. Anyway, they said they wouldn't guarantee that I could go on, but I was to follow the regimen. And they gave me a pair of crutches. I went back to the tent and kept rehearsing and directing. And I followed their regimen of exercise, and I'd go over to their facility and take these hot and cold baths for my leg, and they'd tape it specially, etc. And lo and behold, the swelling came down a little bit, and they taped me beautifully, and they said, okay, on you go. Well, I naturally had the team, and I remember this wonderful physiotherapist especially gave them tickets to the opening night as a small return for what they had done for me. And so we launched the festival, and away we went. And I managed to get through the performance, and the audience, I don't think, really knew that I was seriously injured, if you can believe it. So after the show, I go up to the team of physiotherapists led by this particular individual, and I said, I can't thank you enough. And I couldn't get the words out of my mouth. And she said, I just want to tell you something, Gordon. If I had known that you were doing athletic moves and rolling on the ground and doing handsprings and all of this variety of pseudo gymnastics, you would not be on that stage or on that golf course tonight. And I said some silly remark about, the miracle of modern medicine or something, and we laughed. And I thank those people to this day. I managed to do the entire run. I took careful care of the leg according to their instructions, and I checked in with them regularly, and I made it through. So Thank you to the Prairie Dog who left me that gift, but the Prairie Dog also left me something else. One night in performance, I'm laying on the ground, prone, pretending I'm asleep, and the other actor playing Demetrius, he's doing the same thing because apparently a spell has been cast upon us by the character of Puck, the trickster. And I'm doing my thing, and I just tiny open my eyes, and guess what? There's a prairie dog sitting there. He had come up through a hole, he or she, that they had dug, and the audience just erupted in laughter. And I contained myself in terms of my own laughter. And I guess all that commotion scared the little critter, and it ducked down back in the hole, and off it went. So they were with us throughout the summer, and I hold them in high esteem, honor. I love those creatures, actually, and all creatures great and small. And I thank them for not ultimately crippling me with their massive construction digging that they do. Okay, well, there you have it. Don't forget, if you would subscribe, push the subscribe button, and it's free, and leave a like. And remember, we are our stories. Until next time.